I bet the feminists regretted that study. Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I pray that you are all blessed in the name of Yah. So today, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be reviewing this Candace Owens video. I do watch quite a lot of her stuff. I find it really quite interesting, and I do agree with a majority of it. But today we're going to be watching her destroy a male feminist, whatever that is. So this is going to be interesting. I have done previous videos on feminism, and I think what feminism has become today has become extremely toxic. It's become more of like a male-hating thing. I think it breaks down the concept of the nuclear family. As I said in my other videos, it is funded by male groups such as like the Rockefellers, and we all know that they do not have the best intentions for us. Type in Google Rockefellers and women's studies, that should tell you enough. They are definitely infiltrating these movements, which I definitely don't believe to be of God, and giving people a set of values that they shouldn't really have. So we're going to watch this video together, and then I'm definitely going to react to this after.
My question is just, I looked at some data while you were speaking about the gender pay gap in the UK and the US. So apparently it's 17% in the UK and 19% in the US.
No, it's not.
And it's WEF data, so...
Like, who would ever trust WEF data? Not me.
Or
Yeah.
just look
It
at that
doesn't
one.
exist.
So
The myth of
maybe,
the gender
maybe World
pay gap.
Economic from in 2015,
Right.
in
So,
percentage.
happy to talk about this at length.
Yeah, this is
so
like,
my question is basically, what do you think are the causes of this?
It
yeah.
doesn't exist.
Well,
Do
no,
you-
there is a cause for it. I'll tell you what it is.
And do you think there should be public measures to tackle it? And yeah, the causes and the public
Fair
reaction.
question.
So
I
what do you
get it. I
think?
get it all the time because obviously I'm like the anti-feminist. So people are always like, "How can you deny the gender, the wage gap?" Okay. So when I went to university, all of the girls that I was friends with were majoring in fashion and textiles and merchandising, and they all went off to intern at Vogue. And pick out Prada bags that maybe Kate Moss would wear on the cover of something. The average pay for that, if you want to be in fashion when you get out of school, is $20,000. Men were majoring in business and engineering and things that when you get out of school, you get paid more. If our interests, if we're going to go in and we're not going to be taking serious majors, and we're shocked when we find out the world doesn't need more people to pick out Prada bags for Kate Moss's shoot. I mean, that's not a gender wage gap. That's an interest gap, right? And that's what's happening. Also, women, we have different interests. Women aspire to get married, aspire to have children. They leave the workforce earlier. Every single one of my girlfriends, what I'm saying is that a person that is a brain surgeon should not get paid the same amount as a person that wants to pick out Prada bags for the rest of her life. I mean, this is what's going on in America. When you look at the wage gap, they're not telling you what the jobs actually are and what women are going into in terms of their majors in university. When you're taking feminist dance class 101, you're not going to make 6 figures when you go out of university. That's just the truth. And women, if there was a real feminist women movement, would talk about that, would say, hey, if you want to make as much as men, maybe we should be majoring in engineering and things like that. But we don't, because we have different interests, which is fine. But you then can't complain and think that we should now have a society that forces, what are we going to do? Are we going to have like a government that says now we have to pay women that want to go into fashion 6 figures to make them feel good and like they're doing things that are productive in society? Like that's not a practical solution. If we want to get serious, if women want to make more than men, they do. It's actually been proven statistically in America that when they go into the same majors and take on the same jobs, women get paid more than men in those particular fields.
So for Google, for example, I'm going to comment on this in a variety of different ways. Google, for example, did a pay equity audit 2 weeks ago.
That was last week.
And Google said we must go after gender-based wage discrimination.
I bet the feminists regretted that study.
Turns out that men were being significantly underpaid at Google, so they dished out $9 million in bonuses to men at Google because women were being overpaid. A couple things. First of all, if you just lazily, as some of the studies that you referenced, not you're being lazy, but the studies are lazy, extrapolate all the women and all the men at a certain age and don't take into account how long they've been in a job, what they studied, their experience prior, the gender wage gap in the States does exist. But if you take in women that study the same stuff as men and are in the workforce at the same time as men, they actually earn 106 cents of the dollar more, meaning 6 cents more than a man does in the States. Candace made a brilliant point. In the States, if you look at the 5 majors that are the highest performing majors and the 5 majors that are 5 lowest performing majors. So roughly the 5 highest performing majors in the United States of America: petroleum engineering, business, finance, things of that nature. They're 80 to 90% more or less dominated by men.
I just know, like, from my own personal career in my field, a lot of the time women are actually favoured, because we get requested for obviously religious reasons and things like that. You actually tend to find the women are often favoured in my work. So I have to say I've experienced the complete opposite, and I've always been paid the same, if not more, than my male counterpart.
There's only one major that are dominated by women, a single out of the 5. If you look at the 5 worst performing, pre-K education, things of that nature, elementary school education, almost 80 to 90% dominated by women, because they naturally will make different choices because they're biologically
We're
set
just
up
biologically different. Our interests are different.
Really quick, women are also...
Can I just go back on that? Because I find it's a very interesting point you're making, the interest and the biologically
Yeah, it's backed
making.
up by a Cambridge
and
study.
Can you just elaborate on this? Because I would tend to disagree about the biologically part of the.
There's a
For
Cambridge
instance,
study
women.
that
You say
states that.
women. You say the gender gap doesn't exist, and that women would be more inclined to do a fashion degree
Well, no,
rather than a
yeah,
business
well,
degree. And
women and men are different.
and
Yes.
I'm going to say something that you probably hate, an expression you hate, but social construct.
To these people, absolutely everything's a social construct. I mean, I can't imagine living in a world where that's your mindset, honestly.
And
No, it's
No, we have
not.
evidence to this, though. Look at the Scandinavian countries.
It's true, and a lot of that is down to our, like they said, our biological difference. Like, we have a lot of the time different interests, and there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to go into engineering, but a lot of the time women aren't choosing that. And I think today, you notice, like in the woke world that we live in, which I don't necessarily agree with, you know, people are purposely, or companies are purposely trying to employ women or certain people of race because they want to look woke. I think a lot of it's fake, it's for show. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're male, female, wherever you come from, whatever your skin color is, you should just get the job because you're good at the job and because you deserve that job because you've got the right skills. It shouldn't actually be anything to do with the way, you know, your skin color or whether you're male or female. Yeah, I mean, I do think there may be, like I said, certain jobs that may be more suited to each gender to some degree, but at the end of the day, the person should just get the job because they're good at the job. In the woke world we live in today, I do sometimes find that people employ for the wrong reasons.
They tried to get rid of this. They actually allowed teenagers to choose which, do you want to get into STEM fields or not? And the data actually showed that women naturally wanted to go towards, when they tried to make the society totally equitable and they try to get rid of these gender roles, women still, because of the biological predisposition towards nurturing, women...
We naturally want to nurture.
They go to nursing.
There are definitely studies against that nurturing part. Women are not more inclined to be nurturing.
Absolutely.
110% we are. 110. I mean,
Sweden is the example of it. You're just wrong.
It's just true. It's just true.
But based on what? What studies? Is it true based on what?
There was a study done by Cambridge scientists that demonstrated that men naturally revert to environments that require more structure, such as politics and the professions that he mentioned.
Business and finance.
Women naturally revert to professions such as teaching, which require more empathy and emotion. This is just a natural thing. It's important it's important not to say that, you know, women should be forced into those roles, but you do have to accept, you know,
That we naturally
that
do.
you naturally revert to them.
It's just true. I'm just telling you, like, even if you've said, I'm telling you, every single woman that I went to university with versus every single man, there's just a difference in terms of the majors that we're picking, and we're not forced to pick certain majors. We just aren't forced to. So what you're seeing is the result of people picking their different interests, right? And unfortunately, the other part of your question was, should we do something in society to even it out? We don't have to do anything in society to even it out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Do you think there's a biological difference between a man and a woman?
I do believe, indeed, there's a biological difference between man and woman, but when it comes to interest, I do more believe that...
So let me ask you a follow-up. Don't mean to, interrupt rudely, but if we have biological differences, do I have more testosterone than she does?
I think, yes, indeed.
Do you think that testosterone could drive you to do different interests and things?
Well, I could indeed do believe that. The thing is,
So maybe a man might be more likely to be a weightlifter, serve in the army, be a police officer, a firefighter, and a woman who has more estrogen might want to be a nurturer, a preschool teacher. Do you see how biology...
I have another question. Do you think it's desirable for the society, this kind of...
Of course.
I love
Of
it,
course.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I love the yin and the yang. I think men and women are symbiotic, it's beautiful, it's biblical, and it's something that we should stop trying to actively work to force and destroy at a certain point. I love it. And I did a podcast. I was interviewing John Voight, who you guys might know. He's Angelina Jolie's father, and he was talking about this like biblical, beautiful thing that our society is currently trying to destroy. And he said the thing that I see over and over again in my life, and it's nice because he's 80 years old now, so they have that wisdom when they get old. And he said women just know what to do when they have children. He's like, they just know. It's so innate. When you see a woman with a child, it's just the most beautiful thing. He goes, you get men around there, they don't know what they're doing. And every single one of my girlfriends that now has children says the same thing, that it's easier when the man just leaves the house because it's like they have another child, right? And that's beautiful, right? And feminists make you think that there's something wrong with that. Like, make him do this and do that. And it's like, yes, there are certain things that we innately know how to do. And when I see a child, I instantly know how to take care of them. That's just something that's innate and it's biological. And maybe I don't have the data and the facts to describe to you that I can prove that this is a thing, but it is. It just is a thing. And I don't know why society wants to destroy that or force it in a different way and make men the people that are innate and know what to do when they see children. There's something really beautiful and spiritual about that should never be disrupted.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So that was a really interesting video, and I do agree, like, biblically, you know, men and women are created differently. You know, Eve was made from Adam's rib. And I believe that by destroying those gender roles, which I 100% believe in and they are biblical, that it causes issues in society because this isn't how we're made, this isn't how it's supposed to be. And I thought it was really beautiful when she said, you know, men and women complement each other, you know, as a team. There's a reason why we have different roles. And I think when we're trying to mess with what God created, this is when it causes a lot of problems, you know. And I said, you only have to look out the window today. Like, society is not in a good place in many ways. And I think a massive part of this is because we don't follow what God has made us for. You know, we're not following what's biblical. We're not following God's way. And I think you can see that in society today, you know, because we need strong men. We need strong alpha men. And when I say alpha, I mean like the biblical version, not the toxic version that people speak of today. Because that's what a lot of our society was built on. I mean, a lot of stuff is changing now. And, you know, if you look at the amount of mental health that's gone up, you know, if you look at just the way the society is in general, it's just, you know, the absence of fathers in homes, the destroying of the nuclear family, like, in no way has that benefited society, and it doesn't benefit the children, hence why people grow up with a lot of problems, hence why majority percentage of people that are in prison come from fatherless homes. You know, there's so many statistics that back this up, hence why certain groups have more higher mental health and suicide rates. Like, there's just so many things that back up that not following these gender roles and the structure that we're created to be in just causes havoc. And I think feminism may have had like a positive thing when it first started, but I understand some of their goals is they love the fact that they can tax men and women, so they like to encourage women to be career women, don't worry about getting married or having children, so they can then indoctrinate your children with everything they want to do, because obviously we're not there looking after them. And I just think it's really sad to see that, because people see it as a downfall. Oh, it's a downfall that, you know, women can't do what men can do, or men can't do what women. It's not a downfall. It's perfect synergy, and by complementing each other rather than warring against each other, it actually causes a better society. And I think it's so sad today that so many people have been like brainwashed into this other doctoring when it comes to feminism, which I'm totally against. And I agree with pretty much everything Candace says when it comes to feminism, you know, because I definitely think it's having an extremely negative impact on society. And I think to make people think that is just, it's really sad. And like I said, the most ironic thing of all is the fact the majority of it is run by these rich old men, rich old white men to be specific. Not that that particularly matters, but yeah, I just find that really ironic when a lot of feminists talk. That's why I said I don't think a lot of them have actually studied the feminist movement, studied who funds it, studied what their true intentions were, because these people are not a good group of people. And the fact that they fund these type of things, amongst other things that they fund, we know that their agenda behind it is not good, and we know that where the money is often the direction that it leads in, which is not a good one. You know, they definitely, one of their goals was definitely to destroy the nuclear family. The welfare system did a really great part in that as well, when you look back into history, and things changed quite a lot after that, and it's really sad. But yeah, I do agree with that, and I like the fact that she uses the spiritual and then also a bit of data mixed into it to kind of prove her point. So I just found that really interesting. If you are interested, I do have some other videos on feminism, which I will also link below. I go into the history about feminism and some of the marks movement for feminism and how there's a lot of fraud behind them, and just kind of what this movement has turned into, the people that fund it. It's the more you know, the more you start to see the corruption. And like I said, it may have started off as something positive, but what feminism has become today is extremely toxic and often anti-male. And I think it's really sad, because men actually have the most high suicide rates and things like that. So yeah, it's sad. But I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I hope to see you in my next video.